So we'll go straight in now, as we said to all your customers. Ask Justin Berkovi, who's Chief Product Officer at Your.MD. Justin, you have again 99 seconds. Janelle did it. Let's hope you can too. Over to you.
Great. Hi, I'm Justin Berkovi. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Your.MD. We're the self-care app that is on a mission to help 1 billion people live happier, healthier lives. Happy to be here along with such great talent and minds. And I wanted to share with you today some insights on how we dial into empathy with our users, not necessarily to let them dictate our product roadmap, but to help shape our product positioning, as well as the features or themes that we need to build or change. Health right now is obviously the biggest global concern, be it physical or mental. And so for us, it's important that even though our vision might be 3 years away in terms of our product, we have to capture the hearts and minds of the here and now for our users and land them in a familiar territory that's aligned to their expectations. In these challenging times, we find humanity looking for new solutions. People are taking things into their own hands, and that includes their health and self-care. We're not only pivoting our product, but embarking on a deep dive into our brand. So we need to speak to these people and understand their pains. We can't do focus groups or traditional meetups or spend months embarking on like meeting up with people and bringing them into a locale. So we use live conversation in the user testing platform to connect to our users over video, one-on-one, where we can read their physical emotions, facial expressions, and more. And we put products, prototypes, and brand messaging in front of these users before going to market. And we get validation and we get results instantly. And this settles for us internal bottlenecks in product development, but it gives us more validation that we might have previously had to wait months for via traditional methods in a pre-COVID world. I hope I'm just on time there.
Oh, you had 3 seconds there. Amazing work. Superb, fantastic. So great talks, nicely integrated. Obviously, this is such a hot area, CX and empathy. Empathy was a phrase used quite a lot yesterday, actually, interesting enough. So let's dig in some questions. These questions will be out to either of you. First of all, from another shy attendee, Anonymous, is the empathy gap as much to do with an organisation's lack of honest, in brackets, understanding about itself as it is knowing their customers?
Can I jump in on that one? It's a great question. And I think that they go hand in hand. I think you deep dive into your users and customers and you frame the honesty of your organization appropriately. You know, you're only as honest as your best intentions. And I think that's an ongoing challenge for building products and marketing is, you know, how deep do you go? We are in times now where I feel that this is more important than ever. You know, and that's what I was saying is that you have to reach out and be empathetic because people want to be heard. And that's been borne out by all the social stuff you've seen recently in the news, I guess.
Fantastic, superb. Okay, the next question I've got here is from Martin, who asks, surprise, surprise, what are the most interesting changes in this area you've seen during COVID, and do you expect these to continue?
If I could jump in for this one. So what I've seen to be really interesting during this time is, quite honestly, companies are no longer able to really meet their customers in person. You know, traditional focus groups, one-on-one interviews, intercepting people in a coffee shop, all of these tactics that we've used are really no longer available to us. And so I've seen a massive shift to connecting with customers remotely. So, you know, the live conversation is something that Justin talked about, but also I just see this across the board and across the industry. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. And quite honestly, I think people have found that they're able to make that same authentic connection remotely, especially with technologies like Zoom or GoToMeeting, where you can actually see someone's face and make that, you know, human to human connection. So I guess the big change that I've seen is a shift from traditionally in-person methods to remote and online.
I guess this question is quite related. Kieran asks, when it comes to empathy and how brands interact with their customers, what are the most interesting differences across different platforms? I'm assuming it means across mobile or across online, or, you know, different ways of interacting. How does empathy change?
I think I don't necessarily think it necessarily changes with the platform inherently. In terms of what we do in user experience, there are obviously fundamentals that are attributable and different across different platforms, but the core like jobs to be done function will always be the same regardless of what you're using. And so I think that For me, the dialing into empathy is across all of those. I don't see it as a differentiator, really.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think we have to stop thinking about the customer experience and building empathy by channel or by, platform. It's just one cohesive journey in the customer's mind and in the customer's eyes. So I wholeheartedly agree with Justin there.
Great. Now, next one's from Leslie, and she or he asks, is empathy a viable strategy for a scale-up brand that's previously prioritized growth? Good question.
Got to play a role in there somewhere. It's a battle. You want to grow, you've got to reach out to your users. You've got to see it as I see it as an integral driver for sure. And it is that constant, struggle between the two, between ramping up numbers and ramping up meaning and value. It's a challenge for sure.
But they also very much go hand in hand. You're not going to ramp up growth and numbers without actually providing value. And the only way to know value is to really understand what your customers need and want.
Okay, question here from Katrina, something being asked constantly, is what brands do you think have done a good job in this regard over the last 3 months? I mean, we heard Asmita from Heinz earlier talking about the fact that they didn't want to jump on a bandwagon and come out. We've seen so many brands sort of running into trouble with, blackwashing announcements, or Jerry Dakin that started yesterday talking about how brands can get it wrong when they try and engage with the BAME community or the gay community. So how can people, how people go forward?
I just want to jump in there and actually what I've seen, not necessarily calling out specific brands, but the themes of inaction or action quickly have resonated with me more than the actual brands themselves. So those that have been able to immediately come out and make an authoritative statement have meant more to me than the brands that have waited in the wings and really, wondered what to do and everything else, which might be the right thing. But just for me personally, I felt that those who've come out and done and action things have been the winners for me.
Vic, this is quite a good question. Vic asks, I suppose, direct related to that, he asks again, sounds great what you're saying is act quickly, but there's no way I could have convinced my company to do something so soon. I guess the point is, not every brand can act as fleet of a small startup.
No, and many have gone on their social platforms and actually had the dialogue on their podcast and actually said, look, we didn't know what to do. We only saw something happen on Instagram and we didn't feel that we had a voice. It is challenging. And I think it's deeply personal as well to everyone, the recipient of what you're looking at and what you're absorbing.
Yeah, and I would say some of the work that we've done at user testing, we actually asked consumers, around their expectations, and 95% of the people in our study expected expect your organization to say something. So silence is it's not an option, unfortunately.
Well, I think we're out of time. And Janelle and Justin, great joint names for presenting. Janelle and Justin, great talks and really great answers. You generated lots of interest. So thanks so much for your time. Hope to see you again very soon.